like burning at the stake, being stabbed to death, being beheaded. The question is, why does God allow homelessness? When individuals ask this question, it's evident that they, to some extent, hold God accountable for the circumstances. Now, in historical periods like the early Protestant or Catholic Church, such a question could have led to severe consequences like burning at the stake, being stabbed to death, being beheaded. And fortunately, in our contemporary era, we are given the privilege to question religion in any way we like without really any of these consequences. Unfortunately, we find people easily finding ways to ridicule God rather than attempt to understand a reason behind an occurrence of an unfortunate circumstance. In this case, being the homelessness crisis. We need to understand that there are really two ways to answer this question, and both answers are technically applicable at the same time. When concerning believing people, also known as Christians, us, we say that God has everything under control and that God has a plan in everything. This stems from the belief that God, in his infinite wisdom, orchestrates events and challenges in life, including homelessness, for the spiritual growth and ultimate good of individuals. This perspective sees suffering as a means of testing faith, not necessarily meaning that every Christian person experiencing hardship is automatically a test from God, but that there are instances where it is a mere test. But what about those who don't know God or don't necessarily seek him? Why would God allow their suffering? Isn't God a God of love? Why would he let people suffer? This is where the concept of free will comes into play. The simple answer to the very difficult issue at hand is free will is a cornerstone of many religious beliefs, but especially Christianity, granting humans the power to make choices independently. With this freedom, individuals can either make good choices or bad choices. It is these life choices we make that often affect our lives. The ability to enjoy a juicy burger, for example, at the local In-N-Out is an equal free will choice, just as it is for the Somali government to rob their own people and be the cause of child starvation and family poverty. Sure, you may say, well, God could just solve this issue. He could remove the Somali government and put a good government in place to banish the suffering of its people. Well, this line of reasoning raises a profound question about divine intervention and the nature of God's involvement in the world's affairs. The idea of divine intervention raises a challenging philosophical dilemma. If God were to intervene and manipulate every circumstance of the world to prevent suffering and ensure fairness, it would deem the very essence of free will useless and pointless. It would reduce humans to mere puppets with no real autonomy or moral responsibility for their actions. Our choices would lose meaning if they were all predetermined or specifically continuously overridden by a higher power. Furthermore, the opportunity of selective divine intervention raises further questions of fairness and impartiality. If God were to intervene in some cases and not others, it could be seen as arbitrary favoritism, which could be seen as contradictory to the simple verse in Deuteronomy 10:17. I want to read that here for you. Deuteronomy 10:17. For the Lord your God is the God of gods and the Lord of lords, the great and mighty and the awesome God who does not show partiality nor take a bribe. Why would God choose to intervene in certain instances of suffering and injustice but not others, leaving some to endure hardship and others to be rescued? Absolutely not. And next thing you know, we become puppets since every opportunity of evil and sin is removed. You are then forced to do good, and that debunks the whole purpose of there being justice for sin and evil. The concept of free will allows for a world where individuals have the autonomy to make choices, both beneficial and harmful. It also places the responsibility on us to use our free will wisely, to act in ways that promote compassion, love, and the well-being of others. Why do I find myself complacent in the face of suffering, despite possessing the free will and capacity to make a positive difference and offer assistance to those in need? Now, that's the question we should be asking.